this is the first, my opportunity to speak on any of these priorities. It seems ironic to me that we can be talking about biomass and things like that as a priority for funding, and we just heard it earlier, what is really the priority? Water, but I don't really see anything in there to deal with water. So I have some problems with this list as a prior list. But our president, I heard him say before he was elected about 6 months ago that he was totally against the earmark process and he wouldn't support any earmarks. So I don't know if he's going to keep that campaign promise or not, but if he is, we might as well throw this away. But anyways, I'm not, that's all I'm going to say on this right now. But if it was my list, I would have some other things on there.
What you'll see, the word that we got from our Washington, D.C. advocate is, although President Obama has stated he's going to take another look at earmarks, earmarks are a fact of life in Washington, D.C., and they're not going to go away anytime soon. So we're merely exercising our right to submit projects to our congressional representatives to try and look for funding for projects we think that would benefit Mendocino County. We do not disagree that some water projects would be nice and desirable and certainly vital into today's world, but there are not sources of funds for us on those specific projects. As we develop, for instance, the Scout Lake project further down the road, there's a possibility that we could apply for some other funds. But at this point in time, where we are with our various projects, there's nothing that's at the point that we could develop a project that we could submit for federal funding. Not that we don't have the desire, but we're not prepared to deal with it.
In response to that, I think we're further along with the Scout Lake project than we are with the actual biomass project, and that's my point. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To your point, Mr. Chair, regarding water, just one thing to add that we briefly talked about in the committee is that this year we will have additional opportunities to request additional federal dollars in the reauthorization process. The Army Corps of Engineers, which covers a large share of water and infrastructure projects as well as transportation, will both be going through the reauthorization process later in 2009. That will give us an additional time to submit comprehensive projects, and these can be big ticket items that would be specific to water, infrastructure, and roads, and we'll have that ability to explore in the committee and bring forward additional proposals. And I believe that Lisa is already working with our legislative advocate on a time frame for that and getting that to the committee, and we certainly will take that under consideration.
I guess, do we need to entertain a motion? We have one?
Motion
we need to vote on, I guess. Yeah.
I just need to ask clarification on the motion. There was a suggested amendment to with review by the General Government Committee Chair as to the priority ranking. Is that acceptable to the seconder of the motion?
It is.
And then the second point of clarification, we only have the federal legislative program, so should the motion reflect this is just federal today?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, before we vote, is there any members of the public want to speak on this issue? Okay, with that, can we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That's a unanimous decision. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. Those requests are due this Friday. We'll be sending them to Senator Feinstein. Follow up, I think, some shortly thereafter with Senator Boxer.
I'm not going to vote against. I'm not going to vote against anybody's Christmas list.
Thank you.
So brief break.
Yeah, I guess we have a request here. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're back. We're an hour behind time on the timed item at 2:30, but I apologize for that. But we've been moving along fast and not getting anywhere. This is the timed item. We're only an hour and 5 minutes late. Discussion and possible action to rescind the board's action of December 15, 2008 related to the Mendocino Town Plan, General Plan Amendment Number GP 1-08 and Ordinance Amendment Number OA3-08, potentially constituting a reallocation of units from the Mendocino Arts Center pursuant to Rule Number 27. Motion to rescind of the Board of Supervisors Rules of Procedure and recommendation for rescheduling for rehearing with proper notice. County Council, you're the sponsor on this item?
Yeah, I'll start, and then if planning wants to add anything at the end, they're welcome to do so.
As a result of several threats of litigation, the board last week in a 4-0 vote directed staff to place this matter on the agenda for discussion and possible action to rescind the December 15th action taken by a majority of the board. This is not on for reconsideration, but for rescission. The background for this recommendation is as follows. The agenda for the December 15th was entitled, and it's included in your packet, and you can follow along with me, was entitled Discussion and Possible Tentative Action on General Plan Amendment GP 1-2008 and Ordinance Amendment number OA 3-2008, owner McCallum House, LLC, on property located at 10691 Paulette Drive, Mendocino. The action that was taken on the 15th was an adoption of a resolution and ordinance amending the Mendocino Town Plan by adjusting the Town Plan Table 4.13-1 to increase the unit cap associated with the McCallum House suites from 5 to 9 units. The board made this adjustment by deleting 4 units from the 19 units that, according to the plan, have been assigned to the Mendocino Art Center at parcel number 119-160-32. Now, the recommendation by staff in the agenda summary on the 15th was to deny the request until such time as a plan review had been considered. The board disregarded this recommendation and instead adopted the alternative motion. And I have listened to the tape and I heard the motion. They adopted the alternative motion, which included a resolution for plan amendment and ordinance. The board adopted resolution 08-250, which reflects a plan amendment that adjusts a number of units from the Art Center to the McCallum House. That resolution reflects the signature of the chair. The board, in adopting the alternative motion, also adopted an ordinance amending section 20.684.025. Both of these actions are actions that are normally taken for a plan amendment. At the hearing on the 15th, I raised many concerns, as everybody well knows. But the one that I'm most concerned with today, and the reason for my recommendation, is that there was no prior notice to the Art Center that the board was considering an adjustment to the allocation of units that is set forth in the town plan. Now, under the Brown Act, the Coastal Act, the Coastal Commission's regulations, and General Planning Government Code notice provisions, they all require and mandate that the public be involved and have an opportunity to respond to policies and actions that the board considers. In this action, or the action that was taken on the 15th, there was no mention of any, in any documents, that the board would consider, let alone act, to adjust the tables so as to delete units assigned to another visitor serving unit, the Mendocino Art Center. Now, counsel for the McCallum House has corresponded with both the board and with my office and has alleged that my recommendation to proceed in this fashion is not appropriate and in fact will constitute a denial of equal protection and deprivation of a property interest. That's his position. But as county counsel, it is my job to assure that proper notice is provided to the public prior to the board's consideration and action on any item. In my opinion, that was not done here. I raised the notice issue on the 15th, and my advice was ignored by the board at that time. Counsel for the McCallum House also contends that the board did not approve a plan amendment, but rather did something else. I'm not sure what that is, and maybe he can explain that. The application for plan amendment was made back in 2005 and again in December, all noticing references a request for plan amendment and nothing more. The action that the board took was just that, and it is not a final action until such time as the Coastal Commission approves the action and it comes back to the board for final